So, welcome everybody. Today is Tuesday the 5th of September. This is Robot Builders Night Virtual with Dallas Personal Robotics Group. We will do the usual tonight and just go around the table, talk mainly about our robot-y related projects and whatever else is adjacent and comes to mind. So the queue that we have right now is first Doug, then Pat, then Michael, then Paul, then we have an open mic. At some point, I think both Doug and I have separate meetings we have to bail out for back and forth, but we'll just wing with that as we can. So until then, Doug, floor is yours. What you got?
So, we got to do that wire. I have this robot. It's the Robo Dog. If I can get the screen to behave. So I've got the head on.
Right.
Not everything is fully functioning, but he's starting to come together looks-wise. And you can see.
I like the head.
Yeah, that was my wife's design. I liked it too. I'm having a lot of trouble seeing what I'm looking at here. Oh well, enough of that part. But it's there, and I have this, which is my phone, and on the phone, you probably don't recognize that as the telepresence control software that I used on the telepresence robot. RoboDog is going to use the same methodology. And if I can put this down here, sorry about the quick movement. I'm going to tap on the phone and
Oh, look at that. Yeah.
And so that's a brief demo of it actually running. Of course, it's really rough right now because I don't have any encoders doing anything. That was supposed to be forwards and backwards, and you saw it kind of curve. But the motors are operational. The control stuff is operational. The camera is operational. Unfortunately, my speakers were not operational because the USB plug-and-play didn't work on Raspberry Pis. I've ordered a different set of speakers, and I'm getting ready to get serious about the programming.
Nice.
Gold star.
I'm sorry?
Gold star.
Oh, I'm not going to... Yeah, I'm going to get a gold star for that one because it actually worked. And I was real happy to get this working. Of course, I expect problems in the live system. I'll have to do a live test with Wi-Fi. Right now, I've got no competition in my home Wi-Fi. I've got a little Wi-Fi box that's supposed to be able to do Wi-Fi out in the world, but I still expect in a crowd there's going to be competition for the bandwidth. So I have to test that once I get it up to that point. But it's actually starting to look like what I designed. I got to cover up the white of the PVC with my gold leaf, but it's starting to come together. The pieces are actually plugging in and working. It's got the head on. First time today. Way.
That's a fun treasure chest look of his body.
Once again, my wife's idea. I was going to go for this box I just was going to build a box out of airplane plywood like stuff, and she said, "Why don't you use this? Why don't you use this chest? It looks like a steampunk thing." So yeah, good thing you came along, wife. It's good for more than just being a wife. Yeah, I hear it. Come on.
Is that your robot barking?
Actually, I'm going to have RoboDog making some barking noises, but I also want it to have voice, speech recognition and speech output. We'll see how that goes. I got to program the follow me. I got to program voice commands. I've got a lot of programming stuff to do yet, but hey, at least the thing's rolling, and that's a big step for me.
How are you going to get him to follow you? What are you going to use as a...
I was trying to decide about that. I was thinking the most obvious thing would be to put something on the back of my shoe that was reflective and identifiable, and use the OpenCV to say, follow that little tag. But, I've never done any of that before, so that may be beyond my expertise. We'll see. It's just one of the ideas I've got cooked up. I had to scale some of the things back because the raise and lower the leg thing, which was going to have a bunch of like sit behavior, lay behavior, and all that stuff. That didn't work. It didn't have enough power. So now the legs have to be lowered manually. And I skipped all of that for version 1, but maybe version 2. I got some ideas for maybe enhancing the power. It does not involve snatch blocks, if you know what that is. But that's what I use in my Jeep to get extra power with the winch. But I've got ideas, and at least some of it's coming together. I'm excited. I think it's actually going to be rolling down the street in Galveston on December. We'll see how it works.
We can see it. Yeah.
Yeah. Right now it's about 15 pounds with the backpack. I'm expecting about 20. And, you know, I don't know how long I can carry that around, but fortunately our hotel is half a block from the location, so I can take it off if it gets to be too much for me. So, exciting things.
Yeah.
On another off note that has nothing to do with robots is you might be able to see my astronomy gear.
I can see it.
Oh, yeah.
And my other hobby, this Zoom call over here, is my first time to be with the astronomy group that's local here in Fort Worth. They do astrophotography, and I'm going to be going quiet with your call while I listen to their call because they'll be done early, and then I'll come back. But life is good. Lots of exciting things going on.
Nice.
I'll give up the floor unless anybody's got some more questions.
I wonder if you got the super blue moon. Did you have any luck with that?
I did not. I have not had any chance to take pictures yet. I've been having a lot of trouble with my astronomy stuff. And I'm expecting, I've had to buy pieces like the robot, you know, putting things together. And I don't know if you know what light pollution is and all that sort of stuff, but
Oh, yeah.
in town, we're in a terrible spot for astrophotography. But I got a filter that knocks out most of the in-town lights, and it's going to give me a chance to actually take some pictures. And I haven't had a chance to actually take any yet since I got the filter. But that's coming. A week or two, maybe, unless I get lucky and the clouds go away. I've had a lot of cloud problems since I got my filter. I don't want to do too much
What does the filter do?
roboting.
What does the filter do?
Filters can filter out very specific bandwidths of light. And it turns out that the sodium lights and the LED lights that are prevalent in city light pollution come in two very, very narrow bands within the full band that there is. There's like this little spot here and this little spot here. The filter knocks out only that light and lets everything else in. So the theory is, and it seems to work in practice, it's not for me yet, is that all the other light comes in. You get to see stars. You get to see like you're in a dark sky spot, but you're really in Fort Worth.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, so I'm really excited now that I've got my filter to see how that works for me. I tried doing some shooting without the filter, and I did not get very much. Couldn't see stars. All you see was a gray mass because there's just too much light around here.
City lights and polluted sky. And,
Right.
Yeah. Nasty.
So I've got all these hobbies to play with now.
So now you'll get, it seems like you'll get this nice filter, so you'll get past the city lights, and then all of a sudden you'll have the Starlink grid to deal with.
Could be.
Yeah.
So are you aiming for the eclipse in about a month from now?
Well, I have a solar filter or solar sheets that I can put in front of my camera, and I just got authorization to go to Corpus for the October.
Right, it's like
October
9th or whatever. It's basically a month from now.
Yeah, I think it's October 13th is the almost total solar eclipse.
Oh, no, it's
the
total.
annual eclipse because
it'll be a moon one if you're in San Antonio.
Yeah, San Antonio's good. Corpus is actually more in the center than San Antonio, but on the waterfront, I'm not sure the clouds will be.
Okay, somewhere I have the map.
They got really good crab bisque and seafood there.
Well, yes. I was going to say it's like San Antonio. It's San Angelo.
It's going to shoot across Texas.
Right, San Angelo, and then up at the former president's hometown.
Yeah,
it's that line basically runs through there.
Yeah. So I picked Corpus because I like the food there better, and it's marginally closer to the center of the actual stripe, so I should be able to see the entire ring of
Okay.
fire, they call it, because
Right.
the moon at this point is closer to the Earth, so it doesn't fully cover the sun. That's why it's called an annular eclipse.
Right.
If I'm spending too much robot time talking about astronomy, just let me know. But
You could have a robot track, have the telescope with the robot on the telescope to track it.
Yeah, there you go. And
Haven't
then
done
next
that,
year in
but-
April, there's going to be a total eclipse go right
Right.
through Dallas. So it's in my backyard, I should get some good shots. Because that's a daytime thing.
When the one this fall is on Monday, I want to say it's like 11ish in San Antonio.
Yeah,
I think you might be
noon,
bearing a little bit. There's a robot on the moon now. So
There's a couple of those. There's one
Yeah.
working. There's a couple of dead ones.
I was going to say how many
Yeah.
trash.
so maybe it gets a gold star. I don't know.
Could be. I don't think I get a gold star for getting a picture of him, but if I could control him, if I could talk India into let me do that.
You could hack into it. That'd be a new black hat star, something like
Yeah,
that.
that'd be a special star for sure.
We probably have to pause the video for that one.
So I will let go of the floor and let Pat have it. And
All right.
I'm going to go to stealth mode and look the other way for a while.
Enjoy. Well, thanks for the RoboDog update and astrophotography update. So Pat, you said you had a little progress today. Did we hear that right?
Yep, I had a little bit of progress. It's dark outside, so I took a picture earlier. I don't have a video or anything to show, but I just have a picture of a screen. It's not going to let me do this. Higher screen. Screen 2. Share. So, there is there's my picture on my Raspberry Pi of my ArduCam time of flight camera in my backyard. And I don't know if you can see my mouse at all. Right here in this picture, in the preview picture, you can see I've got 3 zones defined, the left, the center, and the right. And it's taking a look at a chain link fence with a post in between. In the middle, I'm at about a 30-degree angle to the fence, or a 30 to 45-degree angle. And I am definitely picking up the fence. So with the background, you can see the data that it was spitting out. In the right zone, I've got an average distance of 64 centimeters. So just over a couple feet away. It was pretty close to a couple feet. The center zone where it spotted the post was about 86 centimeters, it called. I measured about 80 centimeters. And then the left zone, which was the furthest away, had an average of 113 centimeters. That one there, you can see I spit out all the data for the last 10 readings. And I'm just getting the average reading off of the last 10 readings to do my calculations. So it's starting to look promising that I can detect chain link fence. Almost makes me wish I bought 2 of them, because the field of view is 70 degrees. So it's not super wide. 2 would have been nice to overlap a little farther to the left than the right. But at a couple of feet away, I can definitely see everything in front of the robot. So I'm hopeful that I can detect chain link fence. If I can do that, well, then my next goal is to get the GPS working and to try to take a drive from my backyard around the corner, past the fence, into the park behind the house, and find a traffic cone. So my original problem with the chain link fence came up with my location for the Robo Columbus contest here in this area, where the area I had picked, because it's big enough, has a number of chain link fences. And I have to be able to detect them because I can't go through them. So I am definitely making progress, I believe, with this camera.
That's pretty cool. So can you talk about your algorithm? It looks like you've got 3 zones, the left, center, and right. But when you average, do you only average points that return a distance? Or how do you, because I mean,
I search through all the points I have in each of the zones.
Yeah.
And I will find the closest point, and I will add that to my array of 10. So I'll search through the whole thing, find the closest point, and put it into the last spot in the array. And I will do that with the left, center, and right zones. And it's just to give me an idea of what's the closest in each one of those areas. So presently, I've got the robot was mounted about 16 inches off the ground when I took this picture. Because there is a 2x4 going across at ground level. And predominantly, it was in the middle of the picture and it was picking up just the 2x4 as the closest distance. So I picked it up 16 inches off the ground, and then I was able to try to focus more on the chain link fence. In the right zone, you can see where I have a circle, which is the center of my detection, the closest point. There's this little orangey red spot, and I have no idea what that was. It was there consistently. When I looked, I did not see anything at all in that area. Like there was no leaf stuck on the fence, there was nothing. So it picked up something behind it. Maybe a reflection, maybe something. But it did not pick it up as the closest spot.
That's
You
what
have
I'm
a UFO
wondering.
detector.
What was that screen?
I said you have a UFO detector.
Yes, the UFO detector. So I'm hoping that gives me a little bit of increases my ability to detect the chain link fence. So far, it's looking promising. That's it for me.
Have you had any opportunity or just observation of false reports? Like, have you noticed, aside from this one, the UFO you can't explain, have you noticed other points where it detects something and it seems like incredible?
Indoors, I have.
That's
Indoors,
incredible.
I'll pick up a spot 10 feet away in my stairwell.
You have a
There's
ghost.
nothing going down the hallway, and all of a sudden it'll on the left zone, it'll pick something up back there and basically say it reports it as being closer than it is. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
It's a
So
ghost.
I'm not sure if it's a reflection off the refrigerator at the end of the hallway or what it is.
Make a series. It's a ghost. Get some green filter. Make $1 million.
Yeah, that's what I wonder about false triggering.
So the pictures that I did take outside with this, the camera was essentially, the sun was fairly high up still. It was around 5:30 p.m. here. So we were, still fairly high in the sky with the sun, but it was direct sunlight. So it was, it didn't wash out my picture, or I was able to see the fence and the post and everything.
I just kind of wonder how well the optics do, like for off-axis glints, or because like on these cameras, I think one of the reasons why if they're always black on the inside is because they don't want radiation that hits the side to go bounce off and come in at an angle and ruin the contrast of your picture by adding noise. So I just wonder if these LiDAR cameras, since they're basically out and back time of flight, if they have the same kind of susceptibility where maybe light goes off, bounces, and comes back the wrong there's some other path than straight out and back.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that one as well. Like I say, I have seen the one. It's like it's fairly consistent when I had my robot on the other side of my desk, on the right side of my desk, and I was looking at my photocopier and a shelf I have on the one wall, and because it's an open stairwell, I would see across down the hallway into the kitchen, and it was picking something up there and saying that it was about 1.5 meters away.
Yeah.
So a little over 6 feet.
Yeah.
Or 5 feet, sorry. And it was, I have no idea because there's nothing at that spot.
Okay,
And
so what that does explain, though, or it does seem to confirm that they are capable of, if you can do it repeatedly, so they are capable of false triggering somehow.
Oh, I believe that was a false trigger, and I'm not sure if it's there's a chrome handle on the fridge in about the location as I'm looking over there with the kitchen light on.
Yeah.
That possibly I was getting some sort of reflection off the chrome handle in the fridge.
Bouncing around so goofy. Huh.
Yeah, and reporting it back that it was about 1.5 meters away, 150 centimeters.
So what's your threshold going to be? Are you going to literally flag obstacle or chain link fence detected if you get even a single pixel that's close?
Well, right now I'm just trying to see what's there. It's probably going to be trying to detect a blob of a certain size. Whether it's a 1-inch square or something so far out, and say, hey, that I've determined there's something there. Because ideally, I want to be able to pick up foliage or other stuff that's going to be in the path.
Yeah.
It's not just for chain link. It's just chain link was one of the tough ones that I found to try to detect. So before it gets too, the fall starts getting too heavy here, I think I'm going to try to capture some of the lower brush and see if I can see that as well and get some sort of a logarithm going. Probably sticking with my left, right, center, and possibly a distance coming back to say, hey, there's something in your path. Ignoring everything far away because I'm not concerned essentially more than 3 feet out.
Cool.
That's it for me.
That's great.
What camera did you say you were using?
That's an ArduCam time of flight camera. So a couple of us backed it on Kickstarter, and I don't know, it was about, if I remember, 50 or 60 bucks. I'm trying to find another one right now, and I can't.
Limited edition.
Limited edition. Well, it's still listed, but I think they're just sold out everywhere.
Yeah.
And if I do, because it uses it's a CSI port on the Raspberry Pi, it's going to require a multiplexer of some sort for the camera to run 2 cameras.
Cool. All right. I think, thanks, Pat. I think next we
Seems
have
to be in stock at Amazon right now.
Is it?
It's showing that way for me. 54.99. Delivery September 7th.
You paste the link for that?
Sure.
I'm not seeing it. I'm on the Canadian side.
Yeah, this is not the Canadian site, so maybe that's the problem.
Oh, yeah, let me try the US site.
just went there from the RGCam site.
Okay. So it's $54.99.
Yeah, I pasted the link.
Okay. Because usually I can get it a number of places in Canada, and I'm not finding it. So that same link based out of Canada, it shows unavailable.
Interesting.
I could order it out of the US, but then I also have to worry about duty.
Yeah. It's so silly. Why do we still have duty required? I thought there was a North America free trade agreement or something. Well,
let's not get started on that piece of crap. You want to know how I really feel about it? Oh, it wasn't bad. It's just gotten worse.
I had a friend that was an administrator during that time for the NAFTA stuff, and they explained to us that when it came to like national holidays and government holidays and all that kind of stuff that we typically have around here, basically they got the same holiday that any of the countries that we had an NAFTA agreement on. So if they have a holiday in Mexico, they get that's a holiday for the people in the States. If it's a holiday in Canada, he said he got holidays all the time. It was pretty funny.
So in Mexico, they have St. Patrick's Day too?
No, it's just that if you were working for NAFTA and St. Patrick's Day came up in NAFTA and you were in NAFTA in Mexico, your NAFTA employment that day was considered to be a holiday. That's what he expected.
we get all the holidays.
They get all the holidays.
Sounds pretty good to me.
Well, I guess except that you have to consider what you're doing.
Yeah.
So, Michael, what you got?
Well, y'all know I've been working on this. I know it doesn't look like I've made any progress, but I really have. It's just behind the scenes, like the Wizard of Oz. It's all behind the curtain. But anyway, I've got the claws going to be dropping from an arm, and instead, how in other claw machines they have the coil wire that just kind of dangles, and then when the claw drops, the wire drops with it and then recoils back up. I'm gonna wind mine up I'm gonna wind mine up on a roll behind the arm, and I created it. Let me present this. Maybe y'all can see it. I can't present. Can y'all just pin me, would you?
Yeah.
Y'all just individually pin me. So, anyway, I made this roller to go on the back of the claw machine back here. It's gonna when they push the button, it's gonna drop the claw, and it's gonna unwind off of this guy, and then it's gonna wind back up. I'm gonna have a motor attached to it. This is a gear, if y'all can see that.
Yeah.
Got a gear. And here's the neat thing I want to discuss tonight is I bought this slip ring off of Amazon for $10. The slip ring is going to go inside of here like a slip ring does. Well, y'all get the message. The slip ring is going to be inside the hub here. Let me see if I should already add it together, but I want to demonstrate it a little bit. Next week, hopefully I'll have it all fixed up. Hold on here. I should have had my ducks in a row. Got one more in there.
Why do we want to have our ducks in a row?
Because
I've never understood that one.
If you really need to go get a cup of coffee or something, they'll take this time to do that. Oh, here we go.
I just came back from my son's place out west, and the reason I see you on your ducks in a row is so you don't have to sidestep all over for the duck poop.
That definitely goes for Canada geese.
Wow. Sorry, guys. I didn't mean to. Usually not this hard. You know, it's usually not this hard when I'm by myself to get that wire through there. All right, the wire's coming.
Standard
The wire-
demo effect.
Okay, here we go. Sorry, but here we are. The slip ring. I don't know how clear y'all can see it. I'm usually pretty grainy.
Yeah.
Slip ring goes in here, and then I screw it to the drum here. Then I'm going to. These are my terminals here. They're just screws. Just going to screw these wires because this claw. Let me explain further. This claw has a servo in it. All right, and the servo has 3 wires. So I'm going to have 3 wires and some twine or some string that's gonna when they push the button and drop the claw and it picks it up, it's gonna unwind and wind up on this. Of course, it's gonna be able to slip and turn. This is able to turn and keep the electrical connection at the same time. A whole lot like a I don't know, one of them recoil extension cords. Same thing. But I thought it was fascinating. I found this on Amazon for $10, and they got all kinds of them. Another thing I thought was interesting, I wanted to show you that I made this for print. You know, because this is 3D printed. I've made this to come out 3D printed. I could have put a key on this, but I decided to put these little pins. See those 4 pins? Can y'all see that?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is my driving. These are my drive pins. So when I stick this in here, it drives this gear. So anyway, that's what I got. This is going to cradle in this guy right here, and this little guy here. Going to have a gear motor turning this, and I'm going to have this mounted back here, like that. So that's where I'm at. Hopefully next week I'll have it. I have a demo for you on that, and that's all I had to show you. Is a slip ring, pretty interesting little critter. So the only reason why I know about slip rings is because I work in the industrial environment, and we have these big turntable things, these turrets that have big old huge slip rings in them. You know, for a big old 3-phase stuff going on there. So anyway, I thought it was interesting. I found a little slip ring on Amazon. That's all I got. Hopefully I can demonstrate that next week for you. So I'm at that point. I'm printing parts right now for that. So there you go.
Cool. So you're planning to use just one like umbilical that does the lifting and the signals for the servo?
Just right here. It's just string.
Okay.
My original claw machine, which functional right now, uses this string to lift it up. I just reel it up and down, but the wire just kind of hangs there, you know, and I keep a little spring that keeps the wire from drooping too bad. So, but this just for the challenge of doing it this way, I did it this way. So I'm gonna have this and 3 leads being wound up on this drum. So yeah, this should take all the stress off the wire.
Okay, yeah. So you'll have that for the mechanical strength, and then the wire for the signals. But in a way, depending on how you twist them, it could still just be one clean-looking cable instead of the normal claw machine. They have those extra cables dangling off to the side.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's just going to come down. And I'm using this. I've got this ribbon, this 3-conductor ribbon cable.
Oh yeah.
That I bought, and it's going to work really good for that. So I'll just use it.
But I bet with strain relief, that ought to be strong enough to hold your claw, right?
Oh yeah, heck yeah! Like I said, this holds. This already holds it. My old claw machine, I use it, So it worked just fine. I ain't thinking the heaviest thing I'm going to pick up. It'd be like one of these little bean baggy things, toys.
Yeah.
And I'm using this as my upper limit for testing. If it picks this up, it'll pick up anything I throw in that claw machine arena. So there we go. Yep. That's where I'm at, and hopefully it'll be done by Halloween for the Halloween carnival at our church for the kids. If not, I got my old one I'll set up. But I'm basically designing this. Well, two reasons is for the fun of it is number one, but number two is this is going to be real convenient to pick up and move around. I don't have to take my claw machine I take now. I have to assemble all kinds of stuff. It's like it works a whole lot like a 3D printer or whatever. Same thing. It's got X, Y, and then the claws on Z. But it works off the steppers, and I got to kind of put a lot of that together. This I just kind of set up, put a little plexiglass shield around it. I'm good to go. I plan on putting all the electronics, the microcontroller right under it, right under the base here. So it's all going to be contained in that. So we'll see.
Pretty cool.
So there I am with that.
All right, that's great. I think, Paul, that takes us to you.
Okay. Okay, so I recently spent 3 months traveling up through Utah, Wyoming, and Montana. And in Bozeman, Montana, I read about the American Computer and Robotics Museum. Well, how could you not go visit that? So rented a trusty e-scooter and rode up to the University of Montana campus and had a look at it, and lo and behold, they had computers, some of the old Macintoshes that I was never a Mac guy, but some of you might have been used some of these old machines before. I was more a PC guy, and so the original IBM PC down here. I think I started on the PC XT or XP, the one that had a hard drive instead of 2 floppies. I actually used an Osborne 1 here with a tiny little screen, 24-pound transportable computer. And I think that's all that I personally used, but it was kind of a walk down memory lane. So I'm going to skip over this for the moment, but this was about besides these two little guys, they had some movie robots like B9, I think it is, and some of the others but they were models. They weren't real robots, so nothing too exciting there. But the most exciting thing was they had a real World War II Enigma machine.
Cool.
And these things are fascinating when you read up on how they work. And they basically transform a key press, say Q, for example, through a path that is electromagnetically determined by this bunch of patch wires on the front and this bunch of 3 wheels that the operator would set to the day's code, and they light up the corresponding encoded character, and then they've got one of the encoding wheels here showing the wires that map from the input contact to the output contact in a predetermined way. So that was really interesting. And I don't know if y'all saw the movie about what's his name?
Cumberbatch. Cumberbatch, the actor.
Yeah, the father of modern computing.
Turing.
Turing, yeah.
Benedict Cumberbatch played it, yeah.
Yes. And
The Imitation Game, I believe it's what it's called. The Imitation
yes, that's right. And so, he built this thing that had lots of round wheels that looked like this. Well, this is the American version of the same thing, that they except his had 3 wheels and was capable of decoding messages encrypted with a 3-wheel Enigma machine. But the German submarines introduced a 4-wheel Enigma machine, and this American version of what Turing invented was able to decrypt that. So it was really fascinating. The Germans would change their seed code or their Enigma settings every day, and then the Allies would pick up messages and they'd send them back into the NSA of the time in Virginia, and they'd run them through this machine, which would spit them, decode them, and then they'd get all the rest of the messages. They'd be able to decrypt all the rest of the messages for that day and find out where the submarines were going to go and where they're going to get refueled. But apparently the Germans were able to decrypt the Allies' codes as well. So there was this sort of cat and mouse thing going on. Anyway, it was really just fascinating to see this like old electromechanical encryption technology.
What's that?
Like awesome. So anyway, that was short, but
Do it in the
that was,
daylight that you can see stuff.
that was it.
That's pretty cool.
Back in the 80s, y'all remember the trash the TRS 80s computers?
Mhm.
I used to work on the molds
Are they all
at
there?
molds over here in Fort Worth. They crashed them or something. I would repair those molds for the cases on those computers, and I worked in the mold shop over there. But
Another one
what was
around
funny was back in those days when they were coming out with all these
One right
computers and all the competition.
No.
I was so far out of the loop, I didn't have a clue
Yeah.
to what the race was all about. Why we were doing it. But I wasn't a business guy.
It's remarkably effective. They're probably
What happened?
I'm muted, Kareem.
Okay. Anyway, I used to work on the molds, these big old huge molds that would mold those cases for those TRS 80s. Yeah, TRS 80s. Anyway, just a little bit of trivia there.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's interesting with that Enigma machine. I did a bunch of things back in the 90s, and I did some more research and got squirreled away in a couple of things because I was trying to teach some people stuff. As I was teaching, I did a bunch of reading, and the original crypt that's on a Unix box is basically one of those Enigma machines with 256 keys in it, and it rotates through and that kind of stuff. And so they just basically expanded one so much that they didn't figure anybody could throw enough horsepower at it to figure it out. But of course, that didn't last all that long. There's other stuff now. It's amazing. Some of that technology lasts for so very much longer than they expected to do, and did such a good job of doing that. Right? I'm still amazed by some of that stuff.
One of my neighbors went up to the Egyptology Museum at the NSA in Virginia, and they have a couple of working Enigma machines that the public can use to encrypt and decrypt a message. And he brought back a book that told the story of the use of the Enigma machine during World War II. And one of the, it was a really good story, and one of the really, I want to say, moving tales in it is the Allies would occasionally capture a U-boat, and they'd like depth charge it until the U-boat captain determined that he was leaking too much and he had to surface and give up. And on one of these, and then they'd like evacuate all the German sailors from the U-boat, and then their guys would go on board and go down to the radio room and see what they could salvage out of the code books and Enigma machines and all that. And there was one particular case where 3 or 4 sailors went down into this U-boat that was sinking, and 2 of them came up and they were yelling at the others to come back out because it was going to go down, and the darn thing just like tipped up and went down, and two of the sailors went down with it, trying to like free these codes from the radio room. So really, tales of bravery.
There was, I think it was I think in Chicago they have a captured, in the Museum of Science and Industry, they have a captured submarine on display, and you can go through. And they showed in the middle of somewhere in the bowels of the sub. It had a couple of purposes, but there's basically what I think of, it amounts to a drain plug. And for exactly that purpose, if you were about to get boarded to protect your technology, there was one place in the sub where you could just open the hatch, it's going to flood and sink. And if somebody forgot to batten that thing down,
wow.
Which it apparently happened at some point somewhere along the line, and it was just like you say, somebody realized that, and they said, "Oh, holy moly!" and they got down there, and yeah.
Wow.
Let's talk about designing a single point of failure into your.
Like the Death Star, you know, they baked in the deficiency in the Death Star.
Yeah. Hey, back, Paul, you were showing pictures of really old or 80s era, whether that's really old or not, but 80s era computers. So if anyone's interested, I have a line on a 1985 Mac 512E. It just needs probably the caps and stuff on the motherboard and accessories, and probably some Commodore 64s as well. If anybody's interested, just let me know.
Oh, I'm interested. I just don't have enough. The problem I have is that the world turns. It takes only 24 hours.
Oh, yeah.
To do a complete revolution. That's my problem. You know.
If we slowed it down, would we just float away?
I don't know, or I don't know.
Where's Superman when you need him? Flying in reverse, flying in the opposite direction.
Yeah. I think that takes us to open mic night. So, handful of folk that joined since we got started, but anybody, what's next on the?
I do have a thing.
Cool.
I do have a thing, and hopefully I will not, take the rest of the 27 hours we have in our day to show this thing. So, let me show my overhead real fast. So if you look, this right here is a B&O 085. It's now currently disconnected, but I've got a test rig over here that I plug all that stuff into, and well, there's the test rig right there that we're going to do a robot with and do some other stuff with. But I got a B&O 085, and I wanted to play with it a little bit, so I wanted to see if I could tell where true north was. So I went up to Bass Pro, went into their camping section, which you'd think there'd be more camping in their section, but you know, so you can tell it's about where north is, or where north is. It's kind of hard to see with the reflection. Right, so the compass is doing what it's supposed to do. See, look at that. Maybe you can't see.
Yeah, we see it.
No, what I'm saying is, watch it.
It's changing.
It's changing.
Yes, I see that.
Okay, so I'm not sure all that I got going on around here. And so what I ended up doing with my B&O 085 is I'm just taking the gravimetric, calibrated gravimetric data, and I'm going to just use it for, like in our contest, I'm going to hit the config button somehow, have it, and place it in all four directions, and call it, this is what north is. I don't care what north is, but this is that way. And I'm going to point it at 90 degrees and say, these are your points around the compass. And that's what we came to, because what was happening, let me see if you can see that. Let me see if I can get a better camera on the thing. Oh, yeah, maybe, yeah. Better camera on the thing. I still got trying to get some glare off of it. You'll watch it, and I'll lift up. It was doing that the other night. Come on. Now you're not going to do it, so it's something else that was wrong. Literally, if you're watching away, literally when I lifted up, when I got to about here, it would straighten itself out. Coming off the board. I'm like, what the hell's going on? You know, and now you see it changing up here. So what I'm saying is, I've been hearing everybody messing with their B&O whatevers or thing, going, hey, this thing is crazy, it doesn't do right things, and I started playing with it too, and so I've seen this stuff. And can I get this? Yeah, this thing's okay. Also, my hand placement changes it a little bit too, or it did, and I don't know how I'm not magnetic. That's silicone ring, by the way. So what I found when I was playing with
your personality's pretty magnetic.
oh yeah, you know, you can say sweet nothings in my ear all you want and you'll get everything. So okay.
Well, you know, the problem is
That's
that
my
the Earth's
boy.
magnetic field is really, really weak, and it takes a lot to measure it, so it's easy to cause noise.
Yeah, yeah. So this is my assertion from last Friday night. We were playing with this. I've since moved a bunch of stuff around, and so I'm not sure what's been affected it now. I don't know 100%, but I feel. You might be looking at my very, very cool. Here, let me show you. If you look at this, here's my worktop. This is the actual top of the work. Oh, and I do have some junk in a junk drawer underneath this. So I'm sure that none of that's affecting that compass at all. Even though there's no power in there, you got enough to loop-de-loops of wires that I imagine it probably has an effect at some level. All right, and then we found this 4-pound trailer hitch lock that I didn't know I had. And so anyway, so you got that. You got my desk. This is the workbench. I got a piece of Luann here for it's like a spoil board. Then I have this wonderful thing. And you might ask yourself, what is that thing? Here, let me give you a clue of what that thing is. It's got a clipper on it. So this is a grounding mat for doing all the things. And I do not know, I could not find what the deal is exactly, but I suspect that this grounding mat has a whole bunch of stuff wound in there so that it grounds things for static electricity to go someplace. And all of that is probably not helping my compass. I suspect that's the case. So anyway, I just wanted to throw those data points out to the pearls of wisdom that we have. The Oracle at Tuesday night DPRG, right? That's what I'm doing there as to what weirdness I found. And so what we can do is, because I did set this thing up, one of the reasons I set this wacky thing together and built it was because I've got another one of these modules here that with the the magenta and the gold, or the purple and gold there. I got another module here, like right here, and I've set it up for a BNO 085 from Adafruit. So I could just switch these things out. And if I have to make a different level up and down, so if I was testing my my optical flow sensor, I've got this thing, and I just bolt the optical flow sensor on there, put it at the right height, and I can move it around and test it a little bit to see numbers and things. And I don't have the hand or the human being not messing with it. Something that's stable. Because hopefully I've shown that example of where at some point on the string where I've got this IMU going on and I'm tapping the table right here, and you're seeing the numbers change as I'm tapping the table. So I'm trying to make something, taking away the humans as much as possible to change things. In fact, I can tap way over here and have it show up over there as numbers that are changed. I don't know if it's just noise going on because I didn't analyze it all, but it's just noise. So anyway, what I did was I got in, and you might be able to see, I draw me a little square where these things were, and I put it as close as I could and sat there and watched, ran some numbers. And did I put these numbers here? Yeah, you see I ran some numbers. They're not good numbers because they're stuff. And I said, I wonder if I can move this around, whatever else it is, a bunch of times, and then put it back to where I think it should be, and do I get the numbers that are close? And I certainly did. And so my thought is, whether it's a good thought or not, is that when I go to set this up, this robot, which is going to be this guy right here, when we get them all done, when I set him up, I should be able to, because this is a teensy, I should have lots of memory space to do lots of stuff. I can set it up to say, hey, this is you pointing what I'm going to give you north right now. And run some numbers for, 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 30 seconds or whatever the number is, and get a range out of that. And then do that for all the coordinates. Because in the 6CAN, I really only care about where north is, because if I'm doing it close enough with the optical flow sensor with this OHAB, I should know where I am, or close to where I am, and I can know which way I'm pointing. That's all that really matters at the moment. And I'll put some bump sensors on the side, so I've got some of these infrared sensors that I can tune them down, so if I get too close, I know if I'm to a wall left or right, and that kind of stuff, I can put it on there. I might be too simplistic on here because I've never tried to do all this, but that's what we're going to set up. Put an optical flow sensor, one of these IMUs, so I can tell what direction mostly pointing. Figure out a claw system on the front of that, and have the whole thing powered with a teensy. And of course, you got one of those, what is it? We were talking this last time I was on, got to put an OLED on it, and have some text coming out of it, right? This is a 128 by 64. I did find one that's 128 by 128. Gets a few more pixels in play. And I might end up ordering that thing. It's a little more expensive. It's funny. These things are like $2 a piece, and they really want 5 volts, by the way. The 128 by 128, not sure what it's going to want, but it's like $10. And I'm like, I don't know if $10 is like double. I don't know how that math works. But anyway, that's about all I got for what's going on and playing around and all those sorts of things. And as not Mr. Anderson, the other David. He's still here. Yeah.
David Ackley.
David Ackley, yeah.
Yeah, I'm in.
Okay, I don't have any pictures of it that I can show you right now because I took some pictures of the phone and I don't have access to throw them up on the screen. But the laser cutter that I was showing off, it is now upstairs. And did you know that you could get an AC vent for your window for your little bitty stupid air conditioner? And guess what? The ventilation stuff works just fine. And I have a cover for it that has a 120 millimeter fan that's blowing out. Of course, it was blowing out a different size outlet. And so, 3D printer and a little bit of 5 minutes of modeling and a little bit 3D printer way. I've got a thing that goes from a 4-inch to a 5-inch output, and I've got all that run out the window right next to it, following your advice. So I want to let you know that, yes, your advice was taken and acted upon and all this sort of thing. And thank you very much. Because I got reinforced because I found a pre-made grid. So I've got the laser mounted on the board where it's not going to move. And it's a 400 by 400 working spot, and found a 400 by 400 grid, and I started cutting that. And about 25, 30 minutes later, the wife comes in over the room with things all over her mouth and going, "Are you okay? Are you dying?" Because the house, the room where she was at was on the other side of the house. And because the garage was open, doors are open to going into all the rooms, basically it weirded her out because she thought the whole place was on fire. And, I'm like, okay, I'll make this exhaust thing work now.
Relevant to your relevant to your compass moving in different circumstances, and electronic compasses maybe doing the same. I'll never forget a Roborama that was held in the late 2000s or maybe early 2010s down at Fair Park in Dallas, and the course was across some of the concrete to the cone in front of the Museum of Science, and this one particular robot was using one of those magnetic sensors to navigate to get close to the cone, and every time, like on 3 runs, it would like run along to and then it would just like get to this particular point on the concrete and do a spin and stop because there was enough rebar, or I don't know what it was, but it sure fooled the magnetic sensor and it couldn't get past it. It was like a whirlpool sucking it in.
That's pretty funny.
Harold, where did you find that exhaust system at?
If you will Google Amazon, say Google Amazon. That's just insane what I just said. Go to Amazon and look for AC exhaust vent, window exhaust vent.
I'll do that. Thank you very much.
And they come in several varieties. And what I had to do on mine, again, I don't have pictures to show you. They come in a pretty small thing. So if you do it vertical or horizontal, depending on how you're doing, they come with 3 or 4 things you can slide things back, and so you can make your distances whatever you need them to be. But the problem is that thing, that hole's about this big. The pipe that they want to fit you through is about that. So it's a round pipe going into an oblong. And what I had to do was luckily I had some 1x2 around here, and I had to build me an extra 1x2 to raise the whole thing up enough, because that as built goes in and bangs right into my window sill, so you couldn't plug it all the way in on that deal. So be prepared to have a little extra buffer, if you will, on that.
So what type of laser do you have, Bram? Is it the tree or the S tree or?
I've got a longer Ray 5.
Oh, okay.
A 10-watt variety.
Right, because I have the 3 watts create one. So there's several out there. I was curious which one.
And I think that thing has been running about $500 for the last I've been watching it. Then here in the last month and a half, maybe 2 months, they've gotten up and released a new model that they're pushing, and the longer Ray 5, now being the old and busted in the Men in Black vernacular, went down significantly.
So right now you can get a 10-watt create one for about $300 roughly.
Yep. It's the same way with the longer 5, because every one of these people have come out with a 20 or a 40 watt version of the new thing they want to sell you. So they really don't need the old stuff. Whatever left in stock there, they're going to get whatever they can for it. And I'm okay with that. I'm really okay with that. But anyway, I said that's all I had, and I kept on talking for another 20 minutes. So yeah, I think that's all I had again. So
I have a nephew in Kansas that has a laser cutter, and man, he's doing so much stuff with it. I mean, really artsy stuff, but it's really nice, man. He's making these wooden pumpkin lantern houses and stuff for Halloween, and burning them with a torch and stuff to make them look all rustic. And I wish I had pictures to show you, but he's really doing some good stuff with those laser cutters.
yeah. Apparently, a lot of people are doing this, and if you can get enough, here's what gets me. These people on there is like, oh yeah, I spent $30,000 for my laser and I paid it back in 2 months by selling on Etsy. You can do it too. Start from zero. Go do it. I'm calling BS all over that. Just all over that.
But you didn't need to find enough people that were willing to pay. That's the problem.
Well, these people already had an Etsy store established, more likely
yes.
something else. And they were also really, really in business.
Right.
I say really in business. They were used to doing stuff a lot. And
but if you want to really sync up the house, put leather under it. Because that's what I've done.
I do have some leather. I do have some leather keychains. I'm going to try to.
I mean, it's nice. It marks well, but yes, you want ventilation then. So.
Oh, you should try leather with hair on it, like
yes,
cowhide with hair on it. Oh
yes.
My God, that is the worst smell.
You guys are making this so attractive sounding. I'm just saying. Oh my word.
All right. Well, we're still in the phase of open mic. So, what else do we have for tonight? We're all wondering.
I've got a new coming this week. I've got one of them $200 TIG welders. It's going to go in my space shuttle machine shop, along with my new bench top. Y'all seen the mill and the lathe. I got to get me a TIG welder to go along with that stuff too. So, fix to get one of them. So I'm gonna have fun with that thing. And bought me a little a foldable welding table to go with it. Because I know how to TIG weld, but what's going to be nice about that TIG welding is I can do some pretty little stuff, and TIG welding doesn't splatter, and so I'm hoping I can do some TIG welding in that little shed because it's got a wood floor, and not not create a fire hazard in there. I've done some stick welding outside. I do it out in the backyard where I'll hose the yard down where I'm welding and where get it real good and wet, so it doesn't create a fire or something from the. But that TIG welding, you can do it without it splattering. So hopefully I can do some stuff inside with a wood floor. We'll see. I think I can. I got that coming up this week. It should be here.
Are we going to see a metal claw machine at some point?
I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about making a metal frame for this, just for the heck of it.
Yeah.
Little tubing frame, and then maybe clip some 3D printed little lanterns in there with LEDs in it or something. Make some. But yeah, I might make it a metal tubing frame to see what it looks like. You gotta have something to do when you're retired, so you create things, right? So.
Well, you gotta have something, and you build with all these tools, unless you just want to.
I know.
Like the.
So I gotta make stuff up.
That's great.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I do plan on making a little tubing frame out of some mild steel tubing. So.
Cool.
That's what I'm thinking. Maybe that's all I got.
Right. If no one else wants to jump in, I know I have to leave in about 10 minutes, but Kareem is writing an article. Okay. Kareem, do you want to tell us about your article? I put you on mute.
Yeah, that was my bad. I totally forgot my mic was hot. Yeah, I don't know how much people would care about this, but you know, I've got a lot of students who are like fresh on trigonometry and stuff like that, and so they think about navigation in the terms of the mathematical Cartesian space, and there are some differing conventions between how navigation is done in the real world by real people, and because mathematicians aren't real people, clearly. Yeah, so I just like kept running into like, why 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 do we have to choose different conventions? Because the implementation would be so much cleaner and simpler if we just all agreed that a right-hand turn is an increasing turn, or as opposed to decreasing. But no, it's different when And so this is the beginning of this is an article that I'm working on to sort of explore that problem space. So if anybody has any commentary, it's not finished. I haven't gotten to the computer graphics section yet, but I'd be welcome. I would welcome any commentary about, what's confusing about what I'm saying, that kind of stuff, and where I should elaborate more and where I should shut up more.
Okay, cool. So a kind of request for review. All right.
Yep. Uh-huh.
That's cool. Yeah. Where do you plan to publish this?
Oh, I'm just writing it for people who want to nowhere blog, probably the Iron Rain Robotics blog or something like that. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be like.
As far as I was always taught, it's righty tighty, lefty loosey. Isn't that correct?
Well, the increasing direction of rotation in trig is counterclockwise.
Oh. Well.
Of course. Yes.
That's a good thing about standards. There's so many to choose from.
That's right.
If anybody's interested, I'd put a link to that welder in the notes there. I don't know if y'all care or not. There it is. Oh, kind of a neat little welder.
Very cool. Well, okay, so I'm going to say going once and going twice. All right, guys. Well, you guys have a good week. We'll end the